Hey everyone, this is Drury and I'm back with another demo. So this demo is for my painting class. So this week we are going to do a Brunaille painting. So what a Brunaille painting basically is shades of brown. Yay, shades of brown. So this quick intro, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about how to mix the paint, or at least get the palette for a Brunaille. In the past, what I have done is I have just assumed when I gave out this assignment that students understood how to mix a Brunaille because we're normally going off of, or at least this assignment is right behind a grisaille painting. And so all a Brunaille is, because it's just shades of brown, you're just getting a monochromatic, pretty much just values of browns. That's really all it is. It's a monochromatic painting. It's just like a grisaille, just about. A grisaille is achromatic, but it's a monochromatic painting. It's just dealing with just browns. So normally in the past I would just issue the assignment, but I've noticed that students just have a hard time with mixing the colors and understanding how to mix them. So this little intro is going to be geared towards that. So I need to get my little glove on and I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing. So you're going to need your burnt umber. You're also going to need an ivory black, and you're going to need your titanium white. So these are all oil paints. So what you want to do, and what I'm going to do, is I'm going to spread out or squeeze out my white. I probably need a little bit more than that, but right now I'm just going to start with that. I'm also going to squeeze out my black, and we want to try and get a value of 1 through 9 to the best of our ability. And we also have our brown. So if you think about the local value of burnt umber, guess what? It's quite dark, and on the camera it's almost reading black, but it's actually brown. So that means that this is probably falling in like a value 8 or 9. So I'm just going to place our little brown somewhere in this area just to keep in mind where the actual color is and what its local value is. So let me get a towel so I can wipe my palette. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm going to just get just a little bit more of this white because we're definitely going to be using a lot of it. So now I need to get a value 5. So I can start with my brown because it's fairly dark. So I'm going to try and go with getting like a 50-50 mixture to the best of my ability. So I got my white here. I'll take all of this and I'll just replenish it. Just going to mix it. And we are mixing. So it looks quite chocolatey, just a bit, almost like, I don't know, popsicle chocolate. It's not quite brown enough, but it's close. Alright, so I kind of feel like I just want to make it just a little bit darker if I can. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. I do feel I'm at about a value 5. And I probably should have mixed a lot of this. Come in and try and mix it just a little bit more if I can. Because just like our grisaille painting, we're going to need our value 5 to make our other values. Kind of trying to just mix as much as I can. Alright, so I think this is as close as I'm gonna get for right now. I can always mix some more later, but as you can see, I'm scraping my palette, trying to get a ball of paint for this value 5. Scoop that down just a bit. Alright, so wipe off my palette. So that's about a value 5 that I'm going to get for right now. Now I need a little bit more white again. Because remember, we need to get our value 3. So we're going to start with value 3. And take this white. And take as much as I can. And I'm going to take about an even amount even here. I'm going to mix it. I'm going to add just a little bit more white to it. Alright. But if I compare my values, that's about a value 3 compared to that 5. So I think we are all good in the hood with this one. Alright guys, so I'm going to scrape this up. Put it so we have value 3 right now. I'm going to move my value 4 over, sorry, value 5 over just a bit. Now I'm going to clean off my palette again. So now that I have it cleaned, I'm going to squeeze out some more white. I want to get it half and half because I need to get my value 2. Value 2 mix, and I feel like this is a step away from, probably can add, I might add a little bit more white, just a little bit to my mixture. I have it down. So this is my value 2. So 1, 2, 3. Now I need to get 4. Scoot this over a bit. So what I'm going to do is, because I can see, I'm going to need more of a value 5. So I'm going to go ahead and mix some more value 5. I got to mix a lot. go. I have a lot mixed in. So I'm gonna leave a little bit out because I need to mix my value 4. So I need more white. So I'm looking, I probably have too much white. Which is fine. Add a little bit more of this. I'm trying to get my value 4 darker than my 3. As of right now, kind of feel like it is. It's like a tad bit darker. Oh my goodness, why did I add white to it? Alright, before I have like a huge mess here, I'm just gonna put this to the side. And guys, I just realized what I did. Alright, I'm just gonna put that over there. Now, actually this is lighter than my 5, but it's not darker than my 3. So I'm gonna have to adjust some things. So this is my 4. So I'm gonna darken my 5 with my brown, not my white. white is strong. Strong white. Titanium has a strong tinting powers. Very strong. Alright, finally. Yes. Value 5. Woo! Woohoo! Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think this is very close to 3. Let me check and see. Yep. There's a big old patch that's here. I can put it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we need 6, 7, and 8. And honestly, our burnt umber can be 8. So normally, with a Brunaille, I normally have students use blue. And because we're using Ivory Black, Ivory Black, technically when you add white to it, it's pretty much a dark blue, really. And that's kind of what black is. So I think I'm going to stick with this for right now. So we are going to shade our burnt umber with black versus blue. Normally I do the blue, like ultramarine blue, and then you have to mix your black. But I think we'll be fine with just doing this, and I just kind of want to keep it simple and not too confusing. So now I need to get, let me say this is going to be my 9. Right, darken it just a bit. So I need, 8, 9, so I need 7 and 6. Like this. Take it out. Oh, look at all this. Put a little bit more, just a little bit, because I'm looking at this and I just need a little bit. Alright, so this is 7. So 7. Now we need to get 6. So I'm going to take half of this. I'm going to take half of the 7. So half of the 5 and half of the 7. Mix them together. So I can get 6. Want to compare just a bit, and I add a little bit more of the 5 to it. Alright, now I'm going to put that there. And I just need to, oh, I don't. Our burnt umber is going to be our 8. And then our black is going to be our 9. Alright, you guys, so this is how we mix our palette for our Brunaille painting. So I have a value range of 1 through 9. So I have 1 is my white, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So because burnt umber is a very dark brown, that can aid as our value 8, and then we have our 9. There could be a value in between that. That's another thing I do want to talk about. I know I had a student in the class that actually had a good point. He was like, I know we have our 9 values, but I see values in between these values. Can I mix these values to make other values? And you guys, yes, you could definitely do that. If you are very sensitive to values and you see those subtle shifts, mix these values together to make even more different values if need be. You don't necessarily have to stick to 1 through 9 if you see some subtle values or subtle value changes. So you want to definitely oblige by what you are seeing and the values that you are seeing. So if you have to adjust them as you go. But this is just getting us to a place where we need to be just to get started. So you want to have values 1 through 9 for your Brunaille, and once again I use burnt umber, titanium white, which I'm gonna have to go and buy some more, and then also my ivory black. Normally in the past what I would do is I would have students mix their ultramarine blue and their burnt umber to get their black, but I think having you guys kind of having a black that is kind of already blue would definitely help. Hey everyone, so in this clip I'm going to go over just the painting process, and I'm going to start with a little bit of an intro for what I did when it came to my paper. So we are using our oil and acrylic paper. I do have my one border in around my image, as well as what I did for my surface for my paper. I actually didn't have time to gesso it, so I just went ahead and I used acrylic white and also acrylic burnt umber, and I mixed that together to get a value 5 to prime my paper. So things that you can do to get to a value 5 prime. If you have your gesso, go ahead and gesso your paper. Then you can go ahead and use your burnt umber, your oil paint, and you can use a little bit of mineral spirits. You want to get a wash of that spirit, so you want to dilute that paint as much as possible. Wash that over the surface, let it dry, then you have a primed paper. And then another thing you can do is, if you have your gesso, you can take acrylic burnt umber, you can mix that with your acrylic gesso to get a value 5 as well. That's another thing that you can do if you in crunch for some time and you need things to dry fairly fast. So that's kind of what I've done so far. So in this quick intro, I'm just going to go over just a little bit of what I have done. So of course I am doing a pear, as you can see, woohoo. And I also want to talk just a little bit about planar shifts with fruit. One thing I noticed with some students is that they're having a hard time seeing planar shifts with fruit. So remember, everything around us has planar shifts. Everything has a top, bottom, and side to it. when it comes to pears or apples or fruit, you still want to get a top, you still want to get a side, you still want to get a bottom, and you want to try to see some of these very subtle planar shifts that's happening. This is allowing the form to turn. So you want to make sure you're capturing that. I do my best to capture it in my drawing. Sometimes I tend to lose my drawing or lose some of the planar shifts in my painting, but I do my best to stick to it. So that's another reason why I'm going to do a pear, because I want to be able to still have form, still have turning of form, as well as think about light logic, think about the highlight, mid-tone, shadow edge, your reflected light, your pit or your occlusion shadow, and also your cast shadow, because that also helps with modeling and turning the form as well. So just a little bit of that little background of what the goal of this and why you're probably seeing a bunch of planar shifts on my pear, but this is just to keep form and not to flatten out my drawing, and also not to flatten out hopefully my painting as well. So I'm going to get quiet and I'm going to go ahead and start with the painting process. I'm going to speed through, I'm going to do a time lapse, and I'm going to do a voiceover, that way I can talk you guys through what I am doing. Alright guys, see you after the painting. Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick voiceover on the painting. So right now I'm separating light part from dark part with a thin layer of paint. And then I am going to put in my 3 tonal values for my background. So I have a dark tone, and I also have a mid-tone as well as a light tone, but they're still fairly dark. I'm going to blend with a fan brush. I'm going to blend all of my paint strokes out because I just want a smooth transition. So remember, what's on your light mask, you want to have darker values in the background. Dark mask, you want to have lighter values in the background, and you also want to have a gradation for that. I'm doing the same thing for the table ground plane. I have 3 different values, and I'm blending out my brush strokes with a fan brush, a soft fan brush. And now I am working in my shadow mask. I always start there first. So I am working in my cast shadow right now, getting some of those different values within the cast shadow, thinking about my edges as well, softening the edges that are further away from the object. And also I'm getting in my reflected light. And also with those edges, just keep in mind, watch your edges for your core, which I'm working on, as well as watch your edges for your cast shadow too. And I'm working in some of those darker values that are near the core shadow, as well as my reflected light. I'm trying to get it a little bit darker than what I was seeing it. So I'm working in those values of 5s and 6. Now we're starting to work in darker mid-tone values in the light matte side of the pear. I'm doing my best to stay true to some of the planar shifts that I have mapped out. So I'm putting value or putting paint on those planar shifts, doing my best to stay true to not lose the form of the pear. So there's some areas where I'm going to start to, close some of the gaps and fill in some of that open space. So I may lose a little bit of my form, but my goal is to keep as much as I can. That way my pear does not fall flat. I want it to stay rounded. I want to still have form, and I want the pear to be modeled. So right now I'm just tweaking things out, getting more values in more places, blending some areas to smooth out some paintbrush areas, the strokes, but I'm still leaving a lot of my history of my paintbrush, a lot of my paint strokes that are there as well, softening edges as well. Now I'm working in the stem. It's very quick, and right after the stem I will talk a little bit more about the process, but that is it. Bye guys. Alright, guys, so this is the end of the demo. Yay! So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the tape, and as I'm taking off the tape, just going to talk just a little bit. So as you can see, I tried to keep as much as the form as I possibly could when it comes to this painting. And I kind of blended out the background, blended out the foreground. Still got a little bit of thinking about my edges for that cast shadow, as well as I'm thinking about where's my core, where's my reflected light. I'm thinking about that bridge, which is the darkest dark before it gets to our shadow edge. Thinking about some lighter lights. I probably could have got a little bit lighter in some areas over here, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Alright. Ooh. Ooh. Alright. And I am almost done. I let my painting dry. Another thing, you guys, I am noticing when you are doing your homework, please, please, please take your tape off. So when you take a photo, you just want to have a clean, nice presentation of the work. So take the tape off, that way we can see this beautiful clean border that's here. That acrylic kind of bled through. But here is my Brunaille painting. Once again, it means that it's just shades of brown. So I have a monochromatic painting that's here. That's just with shades of brown. It's quite beautiful to see. Alright, you guys, so we've already done a grisaille. Now this is our Brunaille, and we're going to be practicing this week as well. And you guys, I will see you guys in the next demo. Alright, you guys, bye.